Hi, I'm Madison Mary and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, please don't hesitate to click that subscribe button down below. And without further ado, let's get into my historical romance haul. So this is part one because I've been buying a lot of historical romances lately. So I started reading historical romances back in 2019. Last year I did a really fun video where I read some of my favorite booktubers' historical romances, and it's just been, you know, snowballing since then. In January I read the entire Bridgerton series in less than 2 weeks, and after that I discovered how great eBay is to buy historical romances, and it's gone downhill from there. My wallet literally hates eBay right now, but oops. So I'm going to be doing half of the ones that I've bought so far. Obviously, I'm going to start this haul off with, oh my stars, the Bridgerton series. This is all 8 books. I do have 2 duplicates in here. I have 2 duplicates for When He Was Wicked and The Viscount Who Loved Me, just because I needed the ones with the step backs. So I bought extra editions afterwards, because I didn't realize when I first started this that just because a listing looks like it might have a step back doesn't mean it actually will. Like, this is a very difficult process, okay? Like, it's unnecessarily hard. So I'm not going to go into what these ones are about, because obviously it's the Bridgerton series. I have an entire vlog where I read them, and so that's this. I will admit the most expensive book on any of this, like part 1 and part 2, is going to be The Duke and I. This was, I think, 35 bucks for me to buy, so yes. Then we're gonna go on to another Julia Quinn book, and that is Brighter Than the Sun. This one has another beautiful step back, and I know this is book 2 in a specific series of hers. So we're following Charles Wycombe, and he is the Earl of Billington, and his 30th birthday is upcoming, and if he wants his inheritance, he needs a bride. Otherwise, he can't get it. And then Charles, I don't know how, he falls out of a tree and lands in front of a Lady Eleanor, and things go from there. I'm very excited to start this series. I really adore Julia Quinn. She's a lot different from other historical romance authors that I've read, so I'm intrigued to kind of see what she does with the different series. Then we have the With This Ring trilogy by Suzanne Enoch. These covers are stunning. I am like in love with each of them. Like, oh my god, I love it. So this series starts off with Reforming a Rake. This is book 1. So we're following Alexandra, and she is becoming the governess for the most notorious rake in London, which is one of my favorite tropes I've realized in historical romances, is the governess and then the rake who has like inherited a earldom or dukedom or something, and then there's 2 children and he's like, I don't know what to do with these children, and then there's a governess and then they fall in love, and it's always amazing. So that's what this one is. And then this follows the Lord of Sin and a woman named Vixen, and they get caught having a kiss and then they're forced to marry, which is quite a common trope in historical romances, but I don't really mind it that much. It's a good one if it's done right, so I'm hoping. In this one we follow Emma, who runs a finishing school, but the new landlord, the Duke of Wycliffe, has taken over the land there, and he is proposing to triple the rent on her, and she is like, no, that's not happening. And it's their romance. Also from Suzanne Enoch we have Taming Rafe. I think this is maybe my favorite of them all. I'm just in love with this cover. But in this one we follow Rafe, who no one can tame. He's just a scoundrel. And then during a card game he ends up winning Fortin Hall, which is where our heroine currently resides. And so Felicity is determined to save her family from ruin despite this man now owning them. And she's like, I'm gonna figure a way out of this. This is not going to happen. But excited. It's like, this one definitely seems like enemies to lovers-esque. Now, I don't know the name of this series, but this is Karen Hawkins. I had never heard of her before, and then I came across one of her books and saw the step back for it, and I was like, ooh, whatever this is, I need it. Honestly, if any of the books have like one of these back images, I'm like, I will buy that. And that is what I did for like all of them. So I'm really excited to read these. I feel like I've actually never heard anyone talk about Karen Hawkins. I follow a lot of historical romance booktubers, and so a lot of these HR authors I've heard about before, but Karen Hawkins is one that I have not really seen, so I'm really excited to try her out. But the first one is An Affair to Remember. And once again, this is about a arrogant earl looking for the perfect wife and a strong-minded governess determined to transform him into the perfect man. In How to Treat a Lady. So Harriet Ward needs a fiance in order to save her family from ruin, and surprise, this random man just falls into like her area and she finds him, and he claims that he has no idea who he is. He has no memory, but he does, because someone tried to kill him and then left him for dead, and he's like, now I gotta figure out what's going on. So between those two. And then lastly, we have Confessions of a Scoundrel. So we follow Brandon St. John, who is very sought after by the ton, and he, has no, real desire to settle down, but he has been tasked with recovering a very damaging missive. And this missive is supposed to be in the hands of Lady Verena. And so he goes after her, and then they share a very sensuous kiss. And that's kind of all I know. The synopses, the rest of it is kind of confusing. Like, I can't tell, like, if she's actually, like, lost it, or if she does have it and she's like leading him on, or if there's something else, but she's like determined not to be another one of his conquests, and very exciting. Also from Karen Hawkins, we have Lady in Red. I actually think this is the 4th one in that series, which I was annoyed about because I was like, why did the covers change? But it does have a beautiful step back, so it's okay. So following in this one, the Marquis of Tremont, Marcus St. John, and he needs to recover a very valuable family heirloom. And it is currently in the possession of Miss Honoria Baker Sneed. That's one hell of a last name. And he tries to convince her to relinquish it for like a shit ton of money, but she's not really sure she wants to do this. So she kind of starts like leading him on, and it's just very exciting. Then again, we have more from Suzanne Enoch, and this is Sin and Sensibility. This also has a beautiful, beautiful back cover. And it says, Lady Eleanor wants an adventure before she surrenders to a dull society marriage. And who better than the dashing and notorious rake Valentine Corbett to protect her from scandal and school her in sin. Then we have the first 3 books in Lessons of Love by Suzanne Enoch. One of the books is different from the other 2, but it's fine because these ones have really pretty back covers which matches it, so So this one follows the notorious Viscount Dare, who charmed Lady Georgina Halley out of her innocence for a wager, and now he has to pay dearly for that. So I'm guessing, I can't tell if they are then forced to marry because of that, and that's like why he's like forced to pay, or if they like get engaged, or like there's just like a romance. I'm not really sure what that entails, but this could go either way, because like it takes your innocence to win a bet, but it's a great cover. London's Perfect Scoundrel. So in this one we follow a guy named Saint, and he is the Marquis of St. Auburn, and he's known as London's Perfect Scoundrel. And then we follow Evelyn Ruddick, who knows she should avoid him at all costs, but she wants to help these children in an orphanage. And in order to do that, she needs to convince him, because he is currently like part of the board of trustees for it. And that's what that one's about. Then the last one is England's Perfect Hero. So in this way, we follow Lucinda Barrett, and her 2 best friends are now married off, the 2 from the other 2 books. And she's like, I'm gonna find a man who I can then kind of mold into the perfect husband for myself. And that man is obviously not going to be Robert Carraway, who is a war hero who shuns the ton to the max. Like, he's just not interested in that kind of stuff. But he does agree to help Lucinda find a nobleman that she can then, turn into the perfect husband. Of course, we know that's never going to end well, because they're gonna fall in love instead. Then we have Rendezvous by Amanda Quick. Let me show you what this step back looks like. It's very unique. I've never seen a step back like this. Here is our step back. It's like not the typical kind. So we follow Augusta, who is very confused because apparently there is a rumor or like a message going around that she is supposed to be marrying the Earl of Greystone, and she's like, that can't be possible, because he wants to marry a woman of virtue, and I am literally, I do everything wrong. She is so unladylike. She's like, this cannot, it can't be me. Someone's got this really messed up. And so she goes to the Earl to be like, hey, why is everyone saying this? Like, I would be an awful, awful wife. And then that actually just ends up spurring him even more to be like, no, I want to marry you. And I'm like, this one's gonna be really good. And then the last 4 books that we're gonna do for this part 1 of my historical romance haul is going to be the Wallflower series by Lisa Kleypas. I do own one of these already. I own Devil, I'm not grabbing it, it's stuck up there. I do own Devil in Winter already in the new covers, but I really wanted to get these old ones because these old ones have step backs, and I was like, I need that because I love Lisa Kleypas. So this is actually her most renowned series, and I did things out of order because the first book I read was Devil in Spring, which is book 4, I think, book 4 or 5 in the Ravenel series, and that follows the son of the couple that comes out of Devil in Winter. And when I started Devil in Spring, you see a chapter that has to do with this couple like many years later with like their son being grown up. And I was like, oh my God, I love this couple so much. Like I fell in love with them within like the 4 pages we got to see them. And I was like, that's it, I need this. So I'm really excited, but this is the 3rd book in the series, so I need to make my way to it. So the entirety of this series, the whole premise of it is 4 young ladies enter London society with one common goal. They must use their feminine wit and wiles to find a husband. So a daring husband hunting scheme is born. I love Wallflower romances, so I cannot wait to begin this series soon. I already own them on Kindle, so I can read them whenever I want, but my life is busy. So in this one we're following Annabelle Payton, and in order to save her family from disaster, she needs to find a wealthy nobleman and convince him to marry her. The one person that is definitely not is Simon Hunt. He's like, you know what? You're pretty attractive. I like you. You got like, you know, you got some fire to you. But I will not marry you. That is not, no, I don't marry. But she is determined to be like, you know what? No, I am going to marry you and I'm going to convince you to marry me. So that's what this one's about. Then we have It Happened One Autumn, and that is what this step back looks like. So in this one, the heroine is actually American, and when she goes to her first ball, she realizes that she does not know anything correct. And so as a result, a lot of the people at the ball are like, what is wrong with this girl? Like she's just like, like they're very snobby to her. And one of those people is Marcus, who is Lord Westcliff, and he is London's most eligible aristocrat. But then they end up sharing a kiss somehow in a garden, and then they can't forget about one another, and it's gonna go from there. Then book 3 is Devil in Winter. Here is the beautiful step back. So out of the 4 women in these books, Evangeline is the shyest wallflower of them all. But she's the wealthiest. Her inheritance is going to be massive. And so a lot of her relatives are like trying to like use her for their own good. But then one of the most notorious rakes, Viscount St. Vincent, ends up coming up to her and proposing marriage. And for some reason she ends up agreeing, but she says, I will only agree to this marriage if we do not have sex on our marriage night. And he's just like, what? And so that's what this one's about. And then finally we have Scandal in Spring, and this has the prettiest step back. Like I could have that framed and put in my house, like easily. Well, I'm in an apartment and it's not even mine, but you know what I mean. And this one followed Daisy Bowman, and it's been 3 seasons. Each of her 3 friends have been married off in each of the seasons, and she's just like, oh God, why can't I do this? And so Daisy's dad says that if she does not find a man to marry soon, she will have to marry the man of his choosing, who is the ruthless and aloof Matthew Swift. And she is horrified because she's like, I will not admit defeat. I will not let him choose someone for me. That is just no, like I'm gonna do this on my own. I will find someone. The only problem is that when she actually meets Matthew, she's like, oh shit, he's actually like, I kind of like him a lot. But she's like, no, I can't give in to what my dad wants. But then I also like him, and she's very torn. And then a scandalous secret is discovered that could ruin everything. So, haha. Gosh, how many books is that? That's like 8, 9, 10, what, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Ooh. That was 28. And that's not even the half of it, because I think I have another 20 something up there. So the other video will probably be the same length, but I hope you did enjoy this and that you maybe heard some new historical romances that you were like, oh damn, I would want to pick that up. Or if you heard one in this list that you've read and you're like, oh my God, I love that, you have to read it. Let me know that in the comments down below. Once again, I managed to source all of these from eBay. A couple of them are brand new and I got them off of Amazon itself. Like I said, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button down below. If you want to see more of me, please go to my channel. And until next time, thanks a bunch. Bye.